How do we move forward after what happened in Washington, D.C.? Two innocent people just gunned down by someone who is full of hate. He's not the only one that's full of hate. There's so many today that it could be very frightening. But what do we do? How do we deal with this? Let's listen in on CNN.
As you go forward, with what you have seen, can you give us any sense, because you said you looked the shooter in the eyes, can you give us any sense of what you saw in him as he was sort of getting help and people were tending to him as if he too was a victim of seeing this?
Yeah, well, to be clear, I heard about that part because we were in the secure room when he initially walked in. I just saw him screaming and then being handcuffed. But what I saw in his eyes, I mean, I went to Columbia for grad school, and I saw the same thing in his eyes as I saw in the eyes of all the protesters at Columbia. Nothing different between him and them.
But they did not create this horrific shooting. They did not, they didn't shoot.
They gave permission. They gave the permission. And they've called for this. They have called for intifada revolution, which is the same thing he yelled last night.
Do you worry that there will be a conflation, though, of the two, those people who are speaking their mind, who really care about what is happening in Gaza, and those people who are like this person who did this horrific shooting, who intend to do harm?
A conflation. I mean, they are calling for intifada. At Columbia University, they call for intifada constantly. They're not quietly, they're loud. They're loud. You can hear it. They make recordings of themselves. So what's the difference?
Are you afraid?
Yes.
What
We're
will you
all
do
afraid.
about that?
Everyone should be afraid.
What are you doing to try to make yourself feel safer?
Well, okay, just go on and live your life. I'm a New Yorker. I remember 9/11. You can't let them make you be afraid. You have to go on. You have to live your life, and hopefully your government does things to protect you. Last night, our government failed us.
Jonathan Epstein, I know that they are going forward with this. There is expected to be charges in this case. We will see what happens, but I know you'll be watching, and we'll talk to you again as this goes forward. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry that you had to witness what you did. Kate?
My first thing is this interviewer, very calm and, very, I don't know what to say. But yes, Columbia, the students gave permission. They're calling it for intifada, which means violence. And that's what he did. He did violence. So they listened to him. Yeah. In Jewish law, for anybody who calls for violence, we don't invoke the first commandment or the first right of freedom of speech. No. In Judaism, we don't have freedoms. We have responsibilities. And we have responsibilities to create a better world. And even if you believe in something strongly, if you believe in something strongly that's going to lead to people to be given permission to act in such a manner, then it's directly from what the students on campus and others have given this permission for such acts of violence. But the truth is, even what the students are doing themselves is also an act of violence, because words matter, actions matter. So it may not be killing somebody, but from a Jewish perspective, it's also wrong. But I want to get to the real point. The real point is, should we be scared? No. Frightened? No. Why? What do you mean? Well, if we really believe in God, and belief in God doesn't mean that there's a creator. That's not what belief in God means. I don't believe that God's the creator of heaven and earth. I see that obviously. Like, I'm in my office now. I'm in a building over here. I wasn't here when this building was made, but I know there's an architect to this building. I know that perfectly well. But you know what? I do believe that ultimately God is good. Not ultimately, but God is good. Except sometimes there's a hidden goodness that comes in, and it comes in a way that we experience it as misfortune, but it's really God's hidden goodness. Now, I'm not going to tell you what God's hidden goodness is in giving and allowing a 30-year-old terrorist, kill two innocent individuals. I have no idea. That I can't tell you. I could just tell you what the Torah response, what the Jewish response is to that. And that is not to be frightened, because for whatever reason that God allowed this to happen, allowed a person to choose to do evil. So that person is responsible for the evil that they did. It's 30-year-old. God just gave the capacity that this person could do it. But he's responsible, no question. Again, why? I don't know. I know that it's ultimately God is all good, and there's goodness that has to come out of this. So my only job is to battle the evil, but more importantly, do more good. And to reveal God's goodness, that in this moment, that's a painful moment, a dark moment, to bring to light God's light of goodness and kindness, of another mitzvah that a Jew does and that a non-Jew does, goodness and kindness in the 7 Noahide laws. That's what has to come out from the deep pain and darkness, greater good, to make up for the total evil, and not just to make up for it, increased goodness, increased mitzvahs, to overcome the evil, to overcome that darkness. That's the Jewish response. Join me. Let's do something more. You didn't pray today? Pray today. Jewish men, you didn't put on your tefillin? Put on your tefillin today. You didn't give charity today? Or maybe you already gave. Give again. Think about the innocent lives that were taken. Not just today, but since October 7th. And do that mitzvah. Let's not get into the blame game over here. Let's get into doing something about the situation. In a sense, we're all to blame. In a sense, from a Jewish perspective, Adam was created singular and one. You know why? To send a message to all of us that we're singular, we're one and unique, and that God provided an entire world just for me. That through me, I could change the world for good. Yeah, I could also bring destruction, of course, and that's the choice. But that's not what God created the world for, that we should be destructive. He created the world that we should change it for good. So let's do some good. Let's do another mitzvah. Let's join together. And think of each and every one of us, that the next act that I'm doing, the next mitzvah that I'm engaged in, could tilt the scales and bring the final redemption of Mashiach now. That's amazing.